Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guardians of the CLE podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Kirby. And with me here, as always, is my wonderful co-host, James Ellifritz. And James, it is a sad day for me in Guardians land.
Why is that? I heard there was a Sean Murphy trade. It happened. It finally happened, right?
Who's Sean Murphy?
Sean Sean Murphy trade?
He's
It happened?
blocked.
Where
So it's funny. I was
uh
at job number 2 yesterday, and my Twitter's blowing up, and I got a lot of guards Twitter checking on me. Like, obviously, most people know Sean Murphy was my guy. I think he would have been the perfect fit. He makes too much sense. He ends up going to Atlanta, 3-team trade. Atlanta, first of all, Atlanta needs to be investigated for these trades that they somehow freaking find a way to pull off and just rob people blind. Alex Antopoulos might be even better than Chris Antonetti, and he might have even played him at his own game here. We all know, and we talked about this on last week's episode. Antonetti and the Guardians are known for placing a value on a player, and they stick with it. There's not really many adjustments to the package that may be going the other way for said player. Leverage leaks don't work with them typically, none of those things. So in my honest opinion, if I want to be honest with myself, I had a feeling that once it didn't get done at the winter meetings or shortly thereafter, it wasn't looking good for the Guardians. I had a feeling they had already pivoted, which we now know they did. But what's annoying is Oakland was holding out, and, the leaks from St. Louis, what they allegedly asked the Cardinals for, Brendan Donovan, Newt Barr, guys like that. And then a leak came out yesterday about they asked for, Daniel Espino as the centerpiece of the deal, our number one pitching prospect. And then they turn around and they trade him to Atlanta in a 3-team deal for nothing, for chump change. They didn't even get the best prospect in the deal. Milwaukee did. And so they did get left-handed pitcher Kyle Mueller, which is the number one guy in Atlanta's system. But you got to remember, Atlanta has a very bad farm system at the moment. So this number one in Atlanta's system definitely isn't top 10 in our system. So I'm curious whether did Oakland just want to trade with Atlanta because they have a lot of chemistry after the Matt Olson deal last year? Or did Chris Antonetti and the front office really just not have the willingness to come up off of one of those big 3 pitching prospects? I mean, we may never know. It just seemed, I'm looking at the deal and I'm like, how did we not beat this? How did we not beat this? We could have beat this easily and still not even touched the depth in our farm system.
well, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as the Oakland Atlanta relationship, because you went right where I was going to go. After the Matt Olson trade and then now this trade, it just feels like that the A's are what the Padres are for us. The A's are to the Braves.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 off seasons, and they've got a great all-star caliber player. And unfortunately, Sean Murphy's not coming to the Guardians.
What's bizarre, though, is in that Matt Olson trade, the Braves gave Oakland Shea Langeliers, who the whole point of trading Sean Murphy was to get Shea Langeliers. So the Braves traded him just to get Sean Murphy back in return. So it's funny, like, how these deals involve catchers. And then Oakland gets back a 35-year-old catcher, Manny Pena, in the deal, too. And a utility guy. They got Owen Miller in this deal. Like, I tweeted and people lost their minds. I'm like, we didn't get Sean Murphy because they didn't want to trade Owen Miller. That's gotta be
Owen,
it.
we know you're listening, Owen, so sorry about that.
They didn't want to trade their utility guy. I don't know. But I also saw something that said Oakland and Cleveland just don't have chemistry. Their front offices don't really click that well when it comes to deals. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's not. Either way, we move. And as we now know, The Guardians pivoted quickly this morning, apparently not spending much, if any, time on Toronto's catchers like most of us thought they might. But they signed Mike Zunino to a 1-year, $6 million deal. Chuck, I know you're listening, and I know you brought this on by spamming our timelines with those goofy Mike Zunino pictures. I don't want to hear from anybody when he has his first 0 for 4 with 4 strikeout game, because it's coming. I will say, at the price of only $6 million a year, I am okay with this deal. You know, to let Bo Naylor cook a little bit in AAA. I'm okay with it, only if they now package some of these prospects, cash in, go upgrade the rotation. Pick a guy you really like and go get him. I don't want to hear that you came in second. I don't want to hear that you were in it till the end. Fans do not want to hear it anymore. It was cute with Matt Olson. It was cute with Jesse Winker. We're at the point now where we made it to game 5 of the ALDS. Show these kids you believe in them. You went and got Josh Bell. That's great. You went and signed Zunino. That's good too. I know you're going to get a little more into his stats. He's definitely an upgrade over Austin Hedges. It's not really saying much, but he's a good stopgap to get you to your best one of your best prospects in Bo Naylor. But I really think that in order to close that gap between Houston and even the Yankees, if they end up getting Rodon, like they're predicted to do here in the next couple days, to close that gap, I really truly believe you need another top of the rotation arm to pair with Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, and then slide Cal back to 4th, get Zach Plesac off my baseball team, let Aaron Savali and Cody Morris battle. I'm on a rant right now. Let Aaron Savali and Cody Morris battle it out for the 5th spot, and you're in a much better position to not only have success in the regular season, but to be more competitive in a 5-game playoff series. Nothing against Cal Quantrill, great guy, pretty great pitcher, but he shouldn't be starting 2 games against the New York Yankees in the ALDS. I think we can all agree on that, and it's only going to help if you can add a starter. I mean, you only have Shane Bieber for so long. Let's be honest. They're not re-signing him. They're going to trade him maybe after next year. You want to strike while the iron's hot, in my opinion. Just as I'm going to hold out judgment until the rest of the offseason's over. But at this point, as it stands right now, if you don't make any more moves, you didn't drastically improve this baseball team.
You know, maybe they're looking to target later now. I mean, they're not, the front office, and you mentioned about how do we not get the trade done? Because we have the assets, and you know how those guys operate. They are not going to throw the entire farm and get destroyed on a trade and give up way too much to get somebody that might only be here a few years. It's just, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. I think they're going to have to really see where they're at after All-Star break. I hope you're right, though. I hope there's still time this off season. It's only December. I know you want Ahmed Rosario to potentially be moved on because of the logjam that we have of infielders. But I just don't know.
If I'm being 100% realistic and honest with myself, which I try to do these days, I do think it's more likely that they wait until the trade deadline. Only because if you look at a team like the Milwaukee Brewers, they made some upgrades this offseason. They definitely got a little better yesterday with the addition of William Contreras. But are they going to contend? Are they going to win that Central? Are they going to be in the wild card race? We know they underperformed last season, and they got 2 guys, Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff, that any Guardians fan would love to have. And those are guys that are proven at the major league level that I would give up a Daniel Espino for, because when you're in win now mode, because I'm convinced that the Guardians and even some of this fan base is prospect hoarding. Hoarding is very unhealthy, and I am sensing it. And, we're kicking this can down the road. If you remember, before the lockout, we had this crazy roster crunch. They had to add 11 guys to the 40-man roster who had never made their debuts before. And the Rule 5 draft ended up not happening. So they had to protect him just in case there was a Rule 5 draft. One guy they didn't add to that 40-man roster was Oscar Gonzalez, right? We know the success that he had this past season. But you can't tell me that didn't hurt Oscar Gonzalez's value in a potential deal. Debuting Gabriel Arias and Tyler Freeman, a number 1 overall prospect, as utility guys at the major league level, doesn't hurt their value. It's just how it works in baseball. Every organization has values on guys. We all know the analytics and all the different methods that teams may use. But it's proven a guy is always going to be at their max value when they're at the top of your prospect rankings. The hype is real. People are buying into it. They're watching videos, looking at their baseball savant pages, seeing how hard they hit the baseball, how hard they throw the baseball. And that's when the intrigue is there. That's the best time to sell on a guy. Not when you bring them up and let them go through their struggles at the major league level as a utility guy. That's going to hurt their value. I'm not saying you can't get anything back from these guys in a trade, but the Guardians are probably weighing now is, okay, where do we go from here? Right? So we could call the Marlins. We could ask about Jesus Luzardo and Pablo Lopez. They had pretty good seasons. I'll get into their stats in a minute. Do you try and go all in for a guy like Max Fried, who probably doesn't get moved because Atlanta's contending now, but there's starting to be murmurs that they're concerned that they can't re-sign him. He's not a free agent until 2025. I wouldn't worry too much about that. They need a shortstop. Dansby Swanson's not going back to Atlanta. Ahmed Rosario, Daniel Espino for Max Fried. Do they make a deal like that? Or do they not panic, which we know they don't? And like you mentioned, do they wait till the trade deadline, wait for some teams to fall out of contention and see if they can't strike at that time? But then for a guy like Ahmed, he's only got a half a season left, right? I mean, they like to usually trade guys before that extension time comes or before they lose them for nothing. It's something to think about.
The starting pitching, I've heard people on Twitter have been out there talking about, hey, we should give Kluber another chance to be a 5, come in, eat up some innings. But I don't think we need that. We have enough guys. We have enough starters.
We have enough back end guys.
That were fun. I heard people talking about Carlos Carrasco with the trade rumors where the Mets may part with him.
Yeah.
It's we've been down that road. We could have had the opportunity before Josh Bell, when Carlos Santana went to Pittsburgh, which that's not going to last, right? He'll start there, but he'll most likely get moved at the trade deadline. Sure. Did we upgrade our team? That's the question I have for you. Did we upgrade our team since we ended last year? And the answer, not where we wanted it, but we did. And and you and I were texting, was that last night? We were talking about, I said, there's no big trade, even with Sean Murphy, that would put us as a favorite over Houston.
Right.
You know what I mean? On paper, our roster,
and they've earned that. Houston's earned that.
Right. And even with that's with Verlander leaving. And I still don't think there's anything we could pull off that would put us neck and neck with them. So I think that to go to spring training again, these guys are going to have to prove their worth again. And you know what, though? They're ready for it. You know what I mean? They're ready for it. They can do it. We saw the talent last year. We were definitely surprised at the level that they played at, especially as many young players that played. But I think considering our division, we should be there and should win this division again next season. I know there's, the schedule. We don't have as many division games next year with everybody playing everybody next year. So I don't know, that there could be our win total could drop a little bit. Still, I think we should win our division, finish that third seed in the AL, and once again host the first playoff round.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of that too with the Carlos Carrasco, Corey Kluber feel good stories. And I've also had a lot of discussions with people over the past few days. Oh, this organization has earned the benefit of the doubt. We're not allowed to question what they do. And I appreciate our front office. We have the executive of the year in our building for a reason. My only counterpoint to that would be, do we stay competitive? Yes. We don't go through tear it down, dreadful rebuilds. And I'm grateful for that. But at some point, you have to translate that competitiveness into a championship, at least one. I mean, this team hasn't even found much playoff success outside of 2016 up until this past postseason. And this was a team that was expected to do nothing. But look back at the 2017, they got bounced out. And we thought that was the team. We thought that was the team that was going to get us our championship. So my thing is, I appreciate the front office, but honestly, I am tired of the bottom feeder signings. Like, oh, we did this. Oh, see, we went out and we spent $33 million on Josh Bell. There's our big move of the offseason. And darn it, we were right there with Sean Murphy, right till the bitter end. Atlanta just came in at the last minute and yanked him right out of our hands. Right? So we pivoted to Mike Zunino. And again, do you have Zunino's stats in front of you? We can kind of real quick.
Yeah, which one do you want me to hit on? Do you want me to hit All-Star season of 2021?
Yeah, because before you get into that, just for people who aren't aware, I saw a lot of people throwing around his stats from this past season. And as much as I don't love the Mike Zunino signing, I'm going to be fair here and say that he went out with thoracic outlet syndrome. He missed almost the entire season. Obviously, he wasn't right before that injury. But you're right. You mentioned James. If you want to go ahead, he was an all-star in 2021.
But yeah, per rotowire.com, Zunino underwent thoracic outlet surgery in July, but expects to be ready to go for the start of spring training. His veteran presence will allow the Guardians to ease youngster Bo Naylor into things behind the plate. Zunino really struggled in 2022 before getting injured, but slugged 33 home runs in 2021. And this is a key part, you know how our catchers are that this coaching staff loves. He's also a superb defensive reputation. Also has a superb defensive reputation.
He's got good.
You know that we got to throw guys out,
which is important with the rule changes coming this season. Pitchers can only throw over twice, I think. So that pop time, it's going to be big. I do like the defense. The only thing I really worry about per se is coming back from that thoracic outlet. We know pitchers struggle coming back from that. He is a catcher, but it was on his non-throwing side.
Correct. Yeah.
So that could be beneficial. And again, like, it's a boom or bust signing, but it's a low risk one, right? It's 1 year, $6 million. If he does well, great. You got him for 1 year. Bo Naylor will be ready to take over. You're not super committed long term to this guy. And if he's a bust, nothing's stopping you from cutting bait and going out and fixing it at the deadline. Going to look at any possible scenarios at the deadline if you want to upgrade that position. But just for example, too, we have to remember that Hedges was one of the worst hitters in all of Major League Baseball last year. It's literally almost impossible to not upgrade from Austin Hedges. But Zunino owns a career WRC plus of 88 with a Gold Glove type defense. Austin Hedges has a career 54 WRC plus. So even just if Mike Zunino is average at best, you're already getting a jump of 40 plus in weighted runs created plus, which is big. Austin Hedges, according to Fangraphs, he's projected to hit 200 with a 68 WRC plus wherever Austin Hedges ends up. whereas Mike Zunino is projected to be almost a 2-win player, batting 196 with 17 homers and an 85 WRC plus. So when you look at it just kind of on the surface, those 17 home runs look a lot better than Austin Hedges' 7 home runs last year and his 42 WRC plus last year. You can't deny that we are getting an upgrade. And I think that's just average Mike Zunino.
No, I agree. I definitely agree.
So I don't hate it. I don't
Those,
hate it.
yeah, when you hear it, when I did the same thing, I was looking at those projections and I'm like, sheesh, the batting average. That's what I keep looking at because I know who's right behind him, Miles Straw, right? And because he's going to be in that 9 hole again and hovering probably around. Hopefully, maybe he has a career year this coming season, but there's still going to be a 2 after the decimal. It's not like he's going to bat 300. So that low batting average, once again, at the bottom of the batting order is something we're going to have to overcome. But like you said, we did get some power increase, and all we can do is hope for good health, but then also that Bo Naylor just plays his tail off when he does play and is just justifying being in that lineup and being the everyday catcher at some point this season. It doesn't sound crazy. It would, like last year, if we were a year ago now, we started talking about Stephen Kwan doing what he did this past season. People are like, gosh, there's no way this guy's going to do that.
Yeah.
But he did it. So let's hope that all that success of all the young players that we had last year, if we can at least have it in 2 guys, let's let one of them be Bo Naylor. And then the other one, I don't know, maybe Cody Morris.
Yeah, and maybe this is the year of the pitcher. Last year was the year of the young hitters, coming into the league with force. I mean, maybe this year it's the year of the pitcher, and we get to see maybe a couple of these arms make their debuts, maybe in those doubleheader scenarios that we know the Guardians are going to have a million of halfway through the summer from all the bad weather in Cleveland early in the season. But again, just to kind of wrap up on that front, I'm going to let it play out. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but I don't want people to feel guilty if you're feeling a little bit apathetic at this point, because for 2 years now, it's been kind of the same story. Oh, we just missed out on this guy. We're going to pivot and sign this guy for cheap and just hope for the best. So I get it. I understand the pessimism. I do truly believe that they're going to look to improve the team over the next couple months. There's no doubt about it. They have tons of assets. They're probably done in free agency with the Bell and Zunino signings. But again, to close, if you really want to make those Bell and Zunino signings impactful, go upgrade that starting rotation. I can't explain how big of a difference that'll make if you can find a way to get another top of the rotation arm. And that's not us selling the farm. That's not us risking our depth. I don't think people realize just how deep our farm system is. I mean, it's top 5 in baseball for a reason. Even one impactful trade, even if it were for a guy like Brian Reynolds, even upgrade the outfield, get another bat out there, a Brian Reynolds, or a starter like Pablo Lopez, Jesus Luzardo, Max Fried, or Burns or Woodruff in a pipe dream. Even if you make one of those deals, you still have tons of depth coming up and tons of great talent. So let's hope they do something. If not this winter, I'm almost positive they'll do it at the deadline. I do think this team is going to be in contention. So I'm going to do my best to stay positive. I just had a day today. This was a venting type of episode, James.
You
I'm
know what?
sorry you had to be a
Anybody
victim.
that's no, hey, we've both had a busy schedule. Anybody that thinks that we're just sitting back waiting to record, it don't happen. We literally get off the off ramp and start recording. We love doing it though because we love our team, we love our city, we love what we do for Believe Land Media and our podcast. And what I'm looking forward to is anybody that's watching on YouTube, you can see behind me. You can see LeBron holding the trophy, and you can see the banner hanging up and the pictures behind me. That's why we're here. That's why we're passionate about our Guardians, our Cleveland baseball team. We want to see that championship. We've been so close in our lifetime. And yes, that's why we are pushing to make these trades to improve this team so we can finally win that World Series that we've all been desperate to see. And I mean, yes, I would love to see it in the city of Cleveland. That would have been fantastic in 2016 to win Game 7, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen at Progressive Field. Maybe, just maybe, we're another day closer to finally achieving that championship that we're looking for, that World Series trophy, the championship rings, the champagne in that locker room. We just hope that our ownership can finally see all the hard work that our front office is doing by giving us a lot of good players with a great farm system to choose from. Please, as ownership, let us fans know what we have to do. Do we need to start a GoFundMe account to get some big names in here? What do we have to do? I get it. It's not 94. Jacobs Field did not open yesterday. You had 455 straight sellouts. We're not going to have that. We do not have the population that we used to have in the 90s. We don't have the new car smell at Progressive Field when we go down there, even though we love the place. We're not going to sell it out like that all the time. I don't know what we can do as fans to, besides show up at the ballpark like we did in the 90s, to have more revenue maybe for this ownership team to spend some money and increase the total salary for our team to get us some better players. Not that we're complaining about the ones that we have. It's about competing with the ones, the Houston Astros, the LA Dodgers, the Yankees, what the Mets are doing. The Braves just won a World Series 2 years ago. We have to be able to compete with the top dogs. That's all we're asking.
Yep. Pick your guy. Pick whatever guy you like. Go cash in. Go get your guy. You're going to be all right. I promise. Go get the proven guy over potential. It's fine. Not all prospects pan out. We love them. Hug them on the way out the door. Don't hoard them. That's my message for this week, everybody. But I want to thank everybody for listening. We're going to stay positive. We're going to stay optimistic. I feel like a new person after that's been let out of my system. So I encourage all of you to head over to believelandmediallc.com for all our podcasts and written content, for all the professional sports teams, high school sports, wrestling. We got you covered on all ends. Make sure you check all that stuff out. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. We appreciate all the support. And when we come back with you next week, maybe Ahmed Rosario is an Atlanta Brave. I want to thank everybody for listening. James, you have anything before we head out of here?
No, I think Ahmed's going to be
Mic
here.
drop.
It's too close to Christmas. We're not trading Ahmed. It's not your Christmas present. He's got lots of singles ready for you next year.
And those singles will look real good in Truist Park. Maybe he'll even hit some more over the fence. I'm just saying. Then we can, you love prospects so much, play the prospects, play them all. Make a whole team full of infielders. Maybe they could sneak some extra bases on the diamond and you could play all 15 middle infielders at the same time. It's like the next fix. Who's the next? They're probably loading up to go get Fernando Tatis, another shortstop. Just keep adding middle infielders. You can never have enough.
Like you and I were texting about, how about Cleveland has a second baseball team? Bring all these prospects up. We'll just compete just like New York having 2 teams, LA having 2 teams, Chicago having 2 teams.
It's such a sickness that they traded Nolan Jones for another middle infielder, James.
Yes.
This don't make any sense. There's no way you can open the season with all these middle infielders on your roster. I'm going to go with the opinion that something is brewing. So let's hope we have something exciting to talk about on next week's episode of the Guardians of the CLE. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, wash your hands, avoid that flu season, and we will see you back here next week.
Good night, everybody.